guys, welcome back to the Pineapple Party Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pineapple Party Podcast. My name is Jensen and I'm your host. And we are finally back once again. The comeback is real. The comeback is here with an amazing guest, my good friend Arifah, also known as Eves or Ifa. How are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me here. I'm doing okay. It's been a while since I've done anything like this, or even had a
Honestly,
call with anyone. So
yeah. No, honestly, it's been a while as well. Like I had to take a bit of a break. I think I was basically completely, well, not completely. I did like post on stories and stuff, but regarding the podcast, we were like off the grid for the past month because it was getting very overwhelming. Like every 2 weeks, new episode, and then I'd have like 6 to 8 clips sometimes per episode, and then
yeah,
balancing that with other stuff as well. So it's been a while,
yes, sir. But now you're back.
but now I'm back, and I'm finally speaking with people again.
Yes, sir. That's always
Yeah.
good.
hmm
Always good.
Did you know that during that entire month, I did not see a single soul? Like I did not speak to anyone.
Honestly, sometimes
No.
you need though.
Um. I
That's
mean, I
a.
was. I mean, I was joking, but you do have a
Oh,
point.
but that's also not true because I remember seeing you.
Yeah, I saw you like twice at least.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, sometimes like even if that was the truth, like no
Mm.
judgment. Some people need that.
Yeah, no, like I had I think I had there was once where I genuinely couldn't, like I just felt like I was too tired or my social capacity has fully ran out.
Yeah.
So it felt like when I saw someone else, like I was like, ugh, like get
Yeah.
away from me, like that kind of vibe. And it's like it does get isolating, but I think every now and then, if you take a bit of a short break just for yourself, for some downtime or for some me time, that would really work as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. But what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Oh, well, I mean, okay, so I've taken a bit of a break myself. I don't know if I could really call it a break, but it's more just like just finding ways to get back on my feet.
Hmm.
Because I think the past year has just been a lot. Um, and the past year I've just seen myself feel the effects of the years before that, like catching up to me. So, to get back on my feet, I ended up getting like two part-time jobs. So uh, so I wouldn't say it's so much of a break in terms of like letting myself rest or anything. I
Hmm.
did let myself rest and prioritize my health um in the past 3 months. And that has done wonders. So after I was able to kind of get myself back in shape physically, um for a month, I was able to like start working again. And I now work on weekends as a public speaking coach. And then sometimes I part-time for video production. And I'm also working on the back end part or like the marketing part for a supplement brand that I've been getting supplements from. And that's like benefited me a lot because it has helped me get back in shape physically. So yeah, that's how that got started. So one thing led to another, and it all started with taking care of myself. So that's great.
And I think a very important point that we can get from that is like sometimes we think taking a break means just stay at home and sleep in and eat
Yeah.
junk food and then sleep again, and it's just like the idea of doing nothing for an extended period of time is what a lot of people think resting or taking a break or going on holiday is.
Mhm.
And I find that it's so interesting that you still manage to, well, hopefully catch a break
Mhm.
whilst like doing three different jobs.
Yeah.
Um, because if you are to tell me back then, I would be like, okay, but that's what I do when I'm hustling or when I'm grinding. I got this project, I got music, I got uni, etc., etc. But now
Yeah.
it's like, I think maybe if we define taking a break as any activity, including no activity,
Mm.
that allows us to just take our mind off things that are tiring us out.
Yeah.
I think that because I'm finding that for myself as well, and I didn't do three jobs, but I can draw parallels from your story because for the
Mm.
past month that I did take a break,
Mhm.
I was actually working my part-time job doing sales as well as
Right.
uni as well as recording music as well. It's just I kind of slowed down on the promotion side of things because I don't want to have to think about, okay, I got to create this content, I got to
Mhm.
shout the music out, push the music. I just wanted to make it for the sake of making it, make it, and maybe not even put it out,
Yeah.
not have like a commercial purpose for doing the things that I love because that adds a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I feel like, you know, I mean, maybe you could relate to that, because you mentioned that you on weekends you're a public speaking coach,
Mhm.
and then you're also doing marketing for this supplement company and video production. So there is a great variety in the three different jobs that you do now.
Mhm.
If you can, if it is relevant, speak to me, about the importance of doing what you love, even when you can't, make the most money out of it.
Mm. Yeah. So that's pretty spot on from like the things that I've been experiencing lately. So, it's been like 3 months of just me. I guess some people might see it as grinding, but for me, it's just figuring out what I like and what I can get out of these experiences. Um, so I think growing up, I was always like, I, my struggle wasn't the fact that I didn't have things to do. My struggle was deciding on what to focus on all the
Mm.
time because I had so many interests and so many hobbies. So I guess I could say I was very, very lucky to be able to appreciate different things. Um, no matter how much like no matter how difficult it was, it's like I wouldn't run away from something just because it was difficult. In fact, I guess it was a weird relationship between me and like difficult things. I would try to counter it. Um, and I got into the habit of just doing things because I wanted to challenge myself. So this time around, it was like, you're right. My rest was very much taking myself away from things that tired me out. Not necessarily things that were heavy, because taking up three things is still heavy. It was just like taking a little break from studies, making sure I can figure it out a little bit. And then prioritizing things that I've neglected for a very long time, which is my health. Um, so I think growing up, I always knew health was like a priority, but I think I never really properly educated myself on um what health meant. Like it's not just mental health, it's not just making sure you're happy, because sometimes the things that you like or the things that are giving you temporary happiness aren't good for you.
Yep.
So that's what I had to learn the hard way. Maybe multiple times until like I actually was just like, bro, my body was just like, dude,
Chill.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, stop, you're gonna break. And at
Yeah.
one point, I really did reach breaking point. So I was just like, but it's like things that I really thought I liked. Um, it's not necessarily the case of me not liking it. It's just I think it wasn't passion anymore. I was leading it with obsession or just needing to like put extra pressure on myself to do well. So it
Mm.
was like unhealthy competition against my old self who was able to pick up that stuff and just accept it. And I guess I like forgot the fact that we're changing all the time. Like, I wasn't the same person I was back then. And so how I appreciate things will be different each time. Every month or so, I'll look back at something and it's like, oh, my opinions might change on it, but I might still want to revisit it somehow. Um, and so, yeah, I guess for like public speaking, it's like because it's such a consistent thing, every
Mm.
weekend I'll definitely have a job. It was just a way of me making sure that I had some income um on the side.
Yeah.
Um and also the things that it gave me or the things that they give you as a like a coach. You don't just get experience in coaching kids and teens, or it's not just about the syllabus. It's actually much more than that. You have to amp up your PR skills. You have to provide customer service. You have to do sales because you still have to pitch to parents and make sure that like you renew these people. So I'm not just picking up on things that I signed up for, but I'm adding more value to myself from the trainings that they give you. Um, and so it's like there's a difference in like this kind of environment compared to, I guess, sales and marketing
Yeah.
or even like video production or anything production I love. But and I'm definitely like very keen on trying to get better at it. But of course it's really difficult to make a lot of money from that kind of industry in Malaysia specifically. So it's like I would still want to pursue it and I still want to upskill somehow, but I had to first tell myself like, dude, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, take it
You're still,
slow, you know.
yeah, it's like take it slowly, but it's just like don't put so much pressure on yourself that you start hating your passion just because you
Yes.
monetize it. Yeah. So that's what also like got me stuck on content creation because at first I tried content creation and then I was just like, wait, I was able to do this so well
Yeah.
in clubs. But then once it was an internship or once it was like monetized somehow, that pressure of no matter how little the money was, um, I am so nitpicky with myself, that I'm just like, bro, I can't do this. Like
Yeah.
I lose motivation just because I don't get the result that I envisioned.
Yeah.
Um, and so I kind of lose that growth mindset because I'm so pressured to meet the standards of getting paid because I'm not used to being paid by it, like for it.
Mm.
Um, and so with that comes imposter syndrome as well. In a very unfamiliar environment where I feel like, oh, wait, I'm very new to production. I don't know anything about this. Maybe this isn't for me because I'm not able to pick up the slack. So it's very unhealthy ways of talking to myself.
Yeah.
And with no mentor to help you out, it's really difficult to
Mm.
get yourself back up. It's much more detrimental as well when you're talking to yourself that way for every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's production. I'm very grateful to have people who call me in sometimes or are like very welcoming enough for me to just come and shoot. Um, and like just let me hang around and learn the ropes very slowly. So um just being able to accept that there are people like that and they genuinely are just okay with me doing that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so like letting myself be supported by people like that has helped a lot in um kind of, I guess, reviving that passion. And reminding myself that like, bro, you didn't lose your passion. You were
Yeah.
just going about it the wrong way.
Yeah,
So
because like
yeah.
even if we aren't to get too deep into it and look at imposter syndrome and stuff like that, just the fact that when because I am the same where I feel like if I want to once I set my mind onto something, onto doing a task, I want to get it so right that,
Yeah.
like I'll sit here and like if I export a video and this one tiny subtitle was not bold in like the rest of the text, or this one part does not have the same font as the rest, like I will go back and redo everything. So
Yeah.
even if we don't, like look at how it will destroy our passion, or how it will take the fun out of it, or how it will end up exhausting us, it just
Mhm.
drives us crazy. Like when you
Yeah.
nitpick something so much, it's just gonna make you, like drive you crazy. Like there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, there's quite a lot to unpack from what you said. Well, I first want to talk about, at the earlier you mentioned that it's not just about mental health or not just about physical health. I
Mm.
think, and I want to tread this path correctly because I believe that, I think the both of us believe that mental health is of utmost importance. But I feel
Mm.
like nowadays there's an overemphasis on mental health, but not so much on physical health. And I
Mm.
find that me personally, from personal experience, I find that I would sometimes sabotage my physical health or body health or whatever you call it in order to like benefit my mental health. Like today, for example, calling myself out here. But today we had a pretty stressful assignment at
Mm.
uni, and then group assignment, and we had to present. And this is one of those assignments that I hate. I despise because
Mm.
it is one where it carries over multiple weeks.
Right.
So, you start from like week whatever, and then you build up, build up, build up, build up to this
Mhm.
big event, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot at stake, and especially when we're presenting or whatever it is, and the situation is where people can ask you questions that you have to answer, and you don't know what those questions are. So
Yeah.
you really have to know the material. Um, and I just felt like I messed up, and I was nitpicking myself and all that. So it felt really stressful. And I thought, hey, I'll take a mental health break.
Mhm.
I'll go get, you know, this is like Korean chicken place that does a buffet for like lunchtime. And confession, I've been there. This is the third time I've been there in the past 2 weeks. Terrible. Yeah, they're. I'm giving them all my money, like my hard-earned money. They're
Yay.
taking it, and my health because you're eating fried chicken, you're eating like ramen. Like even if it's like noodle stew or whatever it is, it's still instant noodles.
Yeah.
So it's just a very small and insignificant example, if you will, but it still
Hmm.
captures how easily I think people nowadays are willing to sacrifice their, you know, body health or whatever it is to
Hmm.
benefit their mental health. But I
Right.
think there has to be a balance to it, right? Which is where, you hear
Mhm.
people talking about delayed gratification, for example,
Yeah.
or where discipline comes in, I think, because had I been more disciplined, I would have found a way to relieve my stress with a salad. Maybe not, but you know what I'm saying, right?
You can put fried chicken in salad too.
True, 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 true,
Yeah,
true,
yeah.
true. Disguise it, wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean
Yeah.
completely. Because it's like, I don't know. I think I've recently been thinking about it as well. And it's just like, um, because I mean my sister she like works for a corporate job. And sometimes the way she de-stresses is just doom scrolling.
Hmm.
Um, or she'll say something like, I have to watch at least one movie after work, no matter how late it is. Otherwise, like that's her mental health. And then she'll be happy for the rest of the day and she'll be able to have a good night's sleep. But she's also like getting less sleep from it. So
Right.
so it's like I find it interesting how sometimes to take care of your mental health for some people, or actually a lot of people, they have to compromise their physical health.
Yep.
Um, but for me, I think this time it was like in order to take care of my mental health, I needed to take care of my physical health so that I had the energy to do the mental part.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
To like figure out your thoughts or whatever it is, to deal with the
Yeah.
stress in a healthy way. That's
Exactly.
beautiful though.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, I mean, of course we could take this to the extreme, and I feel like this is a bit of satire at this point for me to say, but like I could make a claim like, oh, um, for me to feel good about myself, I need to smoke at least a pack of cigarettes every day, right?
Mhm.
And it makes me feel good. Like I'm happy. Um, I'm not feeling down on myself. I'm not beating myself up over things or whatever it is to do with our mood, our emotions, whatsoever. But then you're also smoking a pack of cigarettes every day.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, this isn't like a mainstream thing to talk about, I suppose, but now that I think about it, when you mentioned it just now, like it really clicked for me. Like, oh wow, people don't. The balance or the importance of balancing both physical and mental health has kind of been lost nowadays when everyone is overemphasizing on, oh, take care of your mental health, take care of your mental health.
Right.
And I feel like, especially people our age, right?
Yeah.
Not like those old people. No, but like people our age, it's like when you
Yeah.
talk about health, I feel like a lot of us think, oh, like depression, anxiety, are you feeling happy? Are you feeling calm, right? That kind of stuff. More so than, I don't know, I could be reaching here, but more so than like, I don't diabetes or etc. etc.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just a little side note that I found interesting that we could point out. Um,
Hmm.
and then next, I think you were talking about. Oh, this is a topic that I find very interesting. You mentioned earlier that you felt like because you were nitpicking at. Would it be accurate to say like you were being quite, a perfectionist? You had like a perfectionism approach to your craft or to your hobbies or to the things that you like.
Yeah, I would say that. Just because I think with my background in visual arts, a huge part of it is critiquing. And when you critique, there's no wrong or right way of doing it. There's just a spectrum of how extreme you are with your critique. And I think from that, because I guess my creative experience stems from visual arts, and that is a huge part of it. I get into that habit a lot. And that is a habit that isn't just limited to creative projects. It's also in education. Because like growing up, I had to make sure that I had the best grades I could get in order to get to the next step, which was uni. So with a lot at stake at that point, I had to get things right. And so I guess when you're an adult, growing up like that, it's really difficult to make room for yourself to make mistakes in safe spaces, especially. You never really know when it's safe to make mistakes.
Yeah,
And when people tell you it's safe to make mistakes, you like can't believe them. You think it's a test.
yeah, because it's just words.
Yes, yes.
What people say are just words at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like I wasn't just a perfectionist in design or anything creative. I was also a perfectionist in getting my work done. If I didn't get a HD, I just think it's over. Like I
Mm.
was just like, that's it. My like 3.8 GPA or anything like that, over, done. Um, and so I was just like, dang, I forgot what one of my lecturers said. He actually said this at the start of my uni year, or like my first year. And I mean, at that time things were okay. So I didn't think much about it until like later. He said something like, don't get so hyper fixated on the number or your grade. Like, don't be a grade chaser because you lose passion for your learning. And you lose the meaning of what you are learning. Um, and I guess at the time I took it for granted.
Yeah.
Um, but when I look back, I was just like, wait, that's so true. Like,
Yeah. Mans was spitting
dude, was spitting.
facts.
Like, it didn't just apply to studies, it applied to every aspect of my life. I was just
Yeah.
like, if you don't look into the meaning, if you don't trust the process, if you don't let yourself just trip a little bit before you fall completely, you're gonna get more injured than like, and you could have salvaged it much
Mm.
earlier.
Mm.
Like, yeah. So it's like you could pick yourself up like at the end, but then I guess it could have been much smoother if you were just a little bit more gentle with yourself. Like,
Yeah, I like that
yeah.
metaphor. And I think
Yeah.
it would help if we learn to enjoy the falling a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Um,
forgot that for a while because I think that's what kept me going for years.
mm,
But I guess I also, you can take that for granted, even if you are doing it and that time you are aware of it. But then I guess you thought that you could never lose it once you've achieved it.
yeah.
But you can very much lose that habit or that mentality after a while. Yeah.
And I think and I think a simple way of, explaining it maybe is simply because when we chase the numbers or when we chase the unit of measurement
Mm,
around the thing that we actually want, we lose focus on what we actually want, and we focus on just, okay, if it's let's say you love a particular unit in within arts and social sciences. Let's say you love film, but then if
mm-hmm,
you get so obsessed about just scoring high on that, on the essays, and then let's say you just pick a movie that you could score high on instead of a movie
mm-hmm.
that you actually want to analyze. So
Yeah.
even like that little choice, down the line can take away a little bit and chip away a little bit at your passion for movies or for film or for the unit,
Yeah.
which is the reason why we sign up for it to begin with, right?
Hmm.
I find that it's so funny because at the start of every semester, there'll always be a lecturer that tries to be friendly with the class, and it doesn't work out, and they'll always ask us, "Oh, why are you here to do this unit?" And it's
Yeah.
always either you have the people who are genuinely interested and passionate
Mm-hmm.
because I love film studies, because I love communication, because I love strategic branding, and then
Mm-hmm.
everyone else is because I have to do it.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do it, I can't graduate. And then my parents sold all of their kidneys to get me here, so it's gonna get wasted. No, but that's how I see it, right? It's because if we get so focused and so fixated on we have to achieve success in this, the focus becomes on the success instead of on the thing that we love to
Mm,
do itself.
exactly.
Um, yeah, and then for me, it was music, right? Like pushing this
Mm,
music out as an independent artist. Um, like, and then how the music industry is in Malaysia. We don't need to say much about it. It's not easy.
yeah.
So it became this thing where I'm like, okay, my next post has to hit this reach or this stat, and then that stat, like this amount of likes, etc., etc. And then when you're so caught up with that, I'm not even thinking about making music anymore. I'm just trying to think of ways that I can become viral to as many people in Malaysia as possible. So then when it
Mm,
comes down to like me making music, I'm not even thinking about, oh, let me write stuff that I really feel, or let me make a genre that I really connect to. It's more like, how can I just mass market this new project, make a song that everybody can like, promote it in a way that everybody can like it. And then if
yeah.
it doesn't work out, it's my fault. It's my fault. Damn it, like I suck, like. So then I think that takes a lot of the fun out of whatever passion you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Hmm. Well,
Okay.
what would you say is the difference though? Because you mentioned how you had this approach, whether it was your hobbies or whether it's your academics.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say are the differences when it came to the same approach, but within the context of A, you're doing this for high grades, for your academics, and B, you're doing this when pursuing like a passion or like a outside project that you have?
Mm, by the approach, do you mean uh what approach are you talking about?
Like the approach of I have to get it right. I have to make it perfect.
Mm.
So what are there, if any, are there differences between, how you approach this, having this perfectionist mindset when it comes to your studies versus when it comes to your hobbies?
I guess like um well, for starters, for education, there's always a rubric that you have to abide by. And so that's the very first thing that I would look through. But then some lectures have their different preferences. You never know what kind of lecture you're going to get. And so like um, some of them may be a little bit more lenient with how you word things. Because in arts and social sciences, I guess you can say that you have to be a bit particular with how you explain things. If you're going to explain a concept, you have to define it first and tell them
Yes.
like what you mean. And then your explanation has to be double supported by your definition. So it's like from the start, it feels like you can't mess up. And I think back in high school, it's like it's a similar thing, except I think I had much more guidance in like making sure that I had like the brainstorming part done. And I was able to properly plan things out um, without compromising too much time and energy. Like whatever that came out of that brainstorming session is gonna be used either way. Um, but then in uni, I guess like the thought of it being one singular assignment
Mm.
and it weighing 30% of your grade, it feels like you cannot mess up. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And like uni's expensive. Like to repeat that is so like daunting.
Yeah.
It's not just expensive, it's tiring to go through another 3 months of that. Um, and like you don't know if you're gonna have the same support from people or less support. So there's a bit of uncertainty that comes with the fear of failing. Um, where it's just like at least if you get it right, you can say that you can move forward. Um, so yeah, that's with education. Um, and there's also like the part where I'm just like, okay, if I mess up, it better not be the same mistakes that I did before. Like
Yeah.
it better not be like repeating things. But sometimes you have to like approach it in different ways and fail, but or like make mistakes. Um, but see it as something that's different. Like you could be making the same mistake, but it might not be the mistake itself. It might just be how you approached it. Um, yeah. So it's just like I don't know. I guess perspective was what I was lacking
Mm.
because I was rushing myself into getting things right for education. Um, but then when it came to passion, it was more of just like, dude, why can't you pump out more things out of you?
If you like it as well, right? Like if you like
Yeah,
doing it, yeah.
exactly. I was just like, I was able to draw or like able to design things so fast and
Mm.
efficiently. And that's what I was also known for. So um when I wasn't able to pump out so many ideas or I wasn't able to get what the client wanted right from the get-go, I got so frustrated with myself because I was
Right.
just like, how do I go about this? Like how like they already said they don't like this. So like how am I going to go with another draft? And it's even more frustrating when you don't know how to use their feedback.
Mm.
Um, it's like, not to say that it's not helpful all the time, but sometimes it just doesn't register well in your head.
Yeah.
And you need time to make sense of it and be able to be creative enough. That takes more time
Yes.
to just fix things together. Yeah,
Because you kind of have to decipher what they say to you, right? And
exactly.
especially if it's like a text message.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some of the slang, like, because I've recently started working as well in sales. So I've seen like some of the slang they use, and I'm like, bro, these are not words. These are just letters next to each other. Like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
do you also feel like your reputation's on the line if, previously, let's say in university clubs, you are a very efficient, or you felt that you were a lot more efficient in designing, whereas coming out to the real world, maybe it's a different environment, but you felt that you hit your own roadblocks and stuff like that? Did it feel like your reputation was on the line?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times it wasn't just my reputation actually. Um, I've had friends who would recommend me for things, and
Mm.
then it was just like, whoa, wait, relax. Like, I'm not that skillful. Like, I still have a long way to go. Don't paint me as someone who is an expert in this.
Yeah.
So what I'll usually do is try to manage people's expectations and be like, I'll try,
Yes.
um, but just know that in order to do this, it took me like a while, or it took me like a lot of steps to get into it. So just like as long as the next person, or like the person I'm doing it for, is patient and understanding, I'm actually okay. But I guess um when I wasn't prepared for those kinds of situations, I would like freak out and just just kind of submit to the work and be like, okay, you know what? We'll just do it. But that also compromises your quality because you're not confident in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to trust myself. And so that jeopardized my reliability as a worker for other people as well. So like I didn't just want to keep my own reputation up. It was also like I didn't want to ruin someone else's reputation for
I
recommending me.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's why, how you respond to that is a good thing, right? Where you give them a realistic expectation and you don't overpromise. Because one
Yeah.
thing that I recently finally realized is I tend to overpromise because I'm so scared of letting people down.
Right.
But the funny thing is, I couldn't care less if it's someone I don't care about. Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
you know what I mean. If it's someone who, they could know me, but I'm not close with them. Like, they could think I'm the worst person ever, and I couldn't care
Hmm.
less. But the
Hmm.
second it's someone that I really treasure and someone that I love, it's like if I don't do this for them, um, even if they don't expect it, even if
Hmm.
they've never once mentioned to me that they have these sets of expectations on
Yeah.
Jensen, or Jensen needs to do this, I'll still think, oh, if I don't do it though, especially when I know on paper I have the capabilities to do so,
Yeah.
then, oh, I fumbled, like who
Yeah.
let this man cook, like I'm done.
Yeah.
Um, so then my response to that kind of, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome, but my response to that thought process is I will promise to do everything.
Yeah.
So there's no way I can fail because I'll
Hmm.
do everything. I'll get everything done.
Yeah.
But the sad and ironic part is that's exactly how you fail in everything because you sign yourself
Mm.
up for everything.
Yeah.
Even when, let's say, I have the energy or the capacity to do two tasks today
Hmm.
and I promise five different things, then I'm going
Yeah.
to fail three times.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fail. But
Hmm.
it's a little bit different when you're the one, when I'm the one going up to them and saying, hey, I could do this for you. And then they're
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I didn't expect it, but, like, I trust you. And
Yeah.
then you end up so tired that you can't do it perfectly. Or you end up so rushed that you give them a, half past five job, right?
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, actually, like, I trusted you and you volunteered for this. I never expected it, but respectfully, like, this is not at all what I needed. It's actually not helpful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think one thing that I'm learning now is to be willing to set realistic expectations and of other
Right.
people, but also set expectations, realistic expectations of myself in other people's eyes at least. So try to manage it,
Hmm.
even if it means that they're disappointed in the short run.
Hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
don't want, and like going back to your example, right? Could you imagine if, someone else came up to your current boss and goes, "Yo, you should see Arifah. Like she's the best. Like she's Steven Spielberg, the best editor ever, the best director ever," and then you're
Yeah.
just like, I just graduated. Like, what do I do?
That's
You know?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's terrifying.
it is, and like
Yeah.
for me personally, it stemmed from the fear of letting people down, especially
Mm-hmm.
my loved ones. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
tend to overpromise, and that's why I tend to, in a way, like set myself up for these very high expectations and these high stakes, um, achievements or getting things done for them, but then it
Yeah.
kind of just blows up in my face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how would you say, what is your approach to managing realistic expectations for yourself and for other people?
I think I've actually just started to pick up on this like recently.
Mm.
Because I thought, I don't know, little me was just like, oh, I got it all figured out.
Hell yeah.
I'm just like, I'm the wisest 16-year-old.
Right, right. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta admire the confidence our younger selves have, you know?
Yeah. And so I was just like, I think in my head I was just like, okay, I mean, I've gone through really hard times before. I think I'll be able to get it. And I was like, I wasn't completely wrong, but I think I completely underestimated how hard things can get.
Yep.
Like sometimes life can just hit you
Mm.
in all five places, like, and you won't see it coming.
No.
And yeah, and so it's just like you could either be like, hey, I'm a victim of whatever God put me through and just dwell on it for a very, very long time. Or you could be just like, hey, maybe this is what I prayed for,
Mm.
the opportunity to prove to myself I can get through it.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, once I changed that view, which took a very, very long time, um, I was just like, okay, you know what? Let's be the bigger person where you can be. If you think of reaching out to someone before they reach out to you and there's like some sort of misunderstanding, just reach out to them. Um, it's fine. Like you should be focusing on the fact that it's you and that friend against the problem.
Yeah.
And this goes for any relationship as well, like that kind of thing. And it's the same thing with like your goals. It's like you are trying to strive for your goals. You have someone who's supporting you, whether it's your boss or your friend, rather than getting defensive, um, or like trying to find the villain in this problem.
Yeah.
Just see it as a problem and then find someone who you can work with to kind of reach that goal, you
Yeah.
know? And so like, yeah, I guess like when it came to managing expectations, it was more like, okay, wait, be real here. So
Mm.
what can you do? Uh, why do you think you can do it? And like properly reevaluate yourself and see if you can do that kind of work during this amount of time. And if there's anything that you can warn someone who's asking for it about, do it.
Mm.
Um, because it's better being safer than sorry, you know?
Yeah.
Like, um, and if they can tell, like, I think there's a lot of humility that you show in that as well. And that's what I forgot. It's like it's not, yes, it can feel very vulnerable for you to say, like, hey, I don't think I'll be able to reach your standards or reach your vision um with the amount of info that you already gave. I think I'm gonna need more. There's no issue with that,
Mm.
actually. And if like a bad outcome comes from it, then I think you also have your answer of whether you want to keep working with them or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like putting yourself in a place where you establish your values and your own standards, what you can and can't compromise, is a good starter to having expectations for yourself. And then having expectations of how things will go is also a really good way of going about things. Like, for example, recently I've learned the skill of like when I'm enrolling a new student for like public speaking, I will always ask the parent first, like, okay, you've enrolled your child into this class. Before I promise anything, I want to ask you, what do you actually expect from this class? You're given this period of time. Um, but is there anything that you would like me to focus on or any tendencies that you want me to be aware of? Just like things that can prep me to do my job better and with integrity. Like
Mm,
that's such an important thing. Because I feel like when I lack integrity in my work, it shows.
right.
Like it completely defeats you. And I think that's how it is for everyone, actually. You can tell how honest a person is with their work
Yeah.
from the result and also how they talk about it. So yeah, just like, you know, being real with yourself at first and making sure you set the goal properly. What do you want out of this? And like, do you actually want to do this? And if you don't, but you need the money or whatever, um, what are you going to do to get that money so you can feel like you get more out of it other than
Yeah.
money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kill
Yeah.
for that money. No, I'm joking. But
Yeah.
you do have you bring up a very very good point because
Yeah.
I think it's being confident enough in yourself that you're okay with, not to say you're being not good enough, but you're okay with not meeting certain expectations that you know is unrealistic.
Hmm.
Because, if we just started working
Hmm.
and they expect us to do like a crazy amount of hours that maybe seniors are used to, or people who have worked many many years in whatever industry are used to, then of course there's the temptation of, let me just say yes so I get the promotion, right? For example, or let me just say yes so my boss thinks I'm hardworking.
Hmm.
But I think, going back to your point, it takes humility, and it takes for someone to be able to be vulnerable, to admit that they have limitations,
Yeah.
and not only admit that they have limitations, actually express very explicitly and
Hmm.
communicate effectively what these limitations are.
Yeah.
Because, um, going back to what I talked about, over promising, it wasn't just with doing things for my loved ones, it was also with music and stuff. Because
Hmm.
I have like a notes on when I release songs and stuff. And I look back onto it, and the amount of times I had to change deadlines or release dates, because in my head I think, wow, you know, like I was 20 years old, I could do two songs in 1 month. I
Yeah.
could drop three songs in 2 months, like whatever crazy amount that I was throwing out there. Because on paper you think, okay, like three songs, two songs within a month,
Hmm.
right? One on the
Yeah.
1st of January and the other on the 31st of January. Done.
Yeah.
Like you space them out. But in reality, like the whole process, and this is just one example, right? This applies with everything, I believe. But the whole process of, songwriting, from coming up with the ideas, from laying the basic chords, from actually writing the lyrics, from this, that, mixing, packaging up, promoting everything, it just takes so much longer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just with my loved ones that I was over promising, because again, I thought, if I wasn't perfect, not even in their eyes though, if I wasn't perfect in my eyes to what I think they would want,
Hmm.
then I'm not good enough.
Right.
But then it's only recently that I realized, and I've been told that we were always enough.
Yeah.
Like we like I did not have to do anything to be special, or to stand out, or to deserve and have the love that I've been given.
Hmm.
And it's a little bit heartbreaking because, you think about all those times that, oh, you might not have known or whatever, right? And I was always like, okay, if I have a close friend, or if it's family, whatever it is, I always needed to, like, why do they like me? Like, there has to be a reason, right? So I have to
Yeah.
go and earn that reason,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and I think this is one of the reasons why I used to overpromise like everything. Oh, what's that? Ginting? All right, bet I'm there. Oh, what's that? Penang same day? Okay, let's go. You
Oh
know,
no.
or oh, you want me to MC your event? I'm there. You know, like whatever it was. Whatever it was. It was always yes, 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 yes because
Yeah.
if I say no, it means that oh, I wanted Jensen to be there and he couldn't. He let me down. But then if someone truly loves and appreciates and cares for you, then they don't care about that. Like um I've been told that like I didn't have to do anything extra for me to be special or for me to be worth it.
Mm.
And that they could just sit and do absolutely nothing with me but still be so happy because that's who they wanted to spend time with.
Yeah.
And it's like the most beautiful thing ever because like all this time I always thought achievements, achievements. What is my worth? Achievements. Have I done this? Have I done that? Oh, I didn't do any work today. Oh, I must be a loser or whatever.
Right.
And then, of course, going back to what you said earlier on this podcast, you mentioned something along the lines of, you nitpick at everything, right? Because you have high expectations for yourself. So even when, and I feel the same way, so even when it had nothing to do with external parties, it was always like, oh, why am I worth it?
Yeah.
I'm only worth it when I achieve things. I'm only worth it when I get things done. And when you zoom out and get other people involved and other connections forming, then it's like I'm only worth it to them when I get things done.
Right.
So, yeah, like to be able to just admit to yourself that I am great, I am amazing, and I do my best every time, but we
Mm.
still have limitations,
Yeah.
is I think even more profound to ourselves than admitting it to other people.
Right.
Because I think once we can accept that, everything becomes easy.
Yeah.
Because even when you make the smallest of mistakes, you're like, oh, oops, next, let's keep going.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know, I really want to share this, like I finally realized, and of course it's a journey, right? It's not like I
Hmm.
learned it one day and the next I'm like, all right, guys, I don't care anymore, I'm good.
No.
Um, but I'm finally realizing that all we had to do is to just be ourselves.
Yeah.
And of course, this means that we have our core values that are hopefully good and moral
Mm.
and all that kind of stuff. But whatever it is that makes us us is enough to those who love and treasure us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Th-
Definitely.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No worries. I
I
think that deserves
mm,
a round of applause.
no no. I actually applied.
Oh yeah? The TEDx talk.
Yeah, they had a TEDx thing, and I mean, shout out to them, shout out to the committee that handled it. They were very professional and very kind. I couldn't get it unfortunately,
Hmm.
but I was quite desperate as this is my last year, right? So I was like fighting for it. Yeah, I sent them a video of me kneeling on the floor, going, "Please, please." No, I'm joking. This I'm joking. This I'm joking. This I'm joking.
Okay,
Don't
okay,
fact check it, guys. Do
okay.
not fact check it, please.
Well, I was thinking, I was just like, how am I gonna, how am I gonna politely
I can relate. I
respond to
don't think
this?
you'd say that.
Yeah, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. It's just me kneeling. Please let me speak.
Oh no.
Just give me the mic. I'll do it outside. I'll do it outside the hall.
No,
No, I'm
God.
I'm joking, but they were very very accommodating and
Okay.
yeah, it was a good experience. At least shooting my
Mhm.
shot. And then I think I was more so fighting for it because I treasure the experience so much that I want to get it. But it wasn't like, oh, if I don't get it, I'm not good enough. right? So this goes back to like being okay with falling.
Right.
Yeah. And I fell flat on my face after kneeling and begging. No, I'm
Of
joking.
course. Of course, of
Mm,
course, of course.
yes. Well, I mean, you spoke to us earlier as well about video editing and your love for video production, etc. One of the reasons
Hold on.
why,
Give me one second.
yeah, no
Uh,
worries.
is it all right if I like change location real quick?
Yes, go
Okay,
for it.
sorry. Give me
No
one.
worries.
Okay.
Do, 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 do. All right. Take a quick water break as well.
Yes, please take the water break.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Give me one second.
I hope you don't hear like the thunder because there's like rumbling in the background.
Oh no, don't worry. I don't hear it at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
See, they're trying to get an interview with me too. Damn.
That must be part of it. Okay, I'm back.
Oh my god! You
Oh,
appeared!
I appeared. Okay.
Wonderful. Welcome
All
back.
right. Thank you. Thank you.
Um, yeah, as I was saying, you mentioned that you're working with video production as well, and that it is a hobby and interest and a passion of yours.
Yeah.
And this goes back to one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you as well, Eves, is
Hmm.
because I remember that you were a part of a short film, a project
Hmm.
that actually won an award, I believe.
Yes. So,
Yeah,
um,
if you can talk
so,
us through that.
um, so like this was a funny one. I don't think any of us expected any part of it. Like
Okay.
it was just like a okay, try it and then we'll see how it goes. Not expecting anything.
Mm.
Um, and I guess we could like tie it back to the idea of expectations as well, because like um it was really just an assignment that we did for our unit. So it's the only film or like practical unit under film studies that university had. So we were all just like, okay, let's just take it. We took it. We were put into a group of three, and then like one person was the main director. I was the producer, and then there was an editor. And what our lecturer said was just like, okay, you're in a group. Here are some theories that we're gonna drip feed into the unit, but by the end of these 12 weeks, you're gonna have a short film. And I was just, and we were just like, oh, okay, with three
Sweet.
people.
Yeah, sweet.
Okay. With
And a
three people,
dream.
yeah. I was like, three people, that's kind of, I feel like that's kind of little.
Yeah, just a little
Like,
bit. Just a little bit.
like um, all three of us definitely wanted to do well. Because we ourselves had standards for like this. Like we individually were perfectionists
Mm.
on our own. And so like the director, he had his own vision. He was just like, okay, dude, like we want he was like not much of a perfectionist, which I'm very grateful for because three perfectionists, I think it would be a mess. Like
Yep. Yep.
yeah, but like we were perfectionists in our own way. So, our director is actually part of a like community, and it's the hardcore community. Uh, and I guess you could say it's an underground music scene in Malaysia. Um, Other countries have it as well, but then a lot of the times they're like underground as well.
Mm.
Um, so he has been part of this community for quite some time, like since he was 14, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Um, and he wanted to tell a story about his community. His community that is actually known by many, but is not mainstream still.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's like a it was really interesting to hear that because me liking music or like being very into indie music as well, I was just like, oh my goodness, like this sounds like a cool idea. And me being me, like I would just jump the gun without even like looking through whether it was safe, whether the community was like welcoming, like nothing. It was just like, wow, cool idea. Let's try it.
Next thing you know, you're crowd surfing as well with
Yeah.
your tripod and camera going. "Ah!"
Yeah. So it's very odd. Like, I guess this is where the contrast happens with me, where as much of a perfectionist as I am, when there's an idea that I feel like I cannot find anywhere else, or I feel like this is an opportunity, I'll probably jump the gun like stupidly.
Mm.
Like, and, and this was because I had a team with me, so
Yes.
I would not have done that on my own.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, when my friend and I heard it, uh, she was also just like, "Oh wait, this sounds really cool." She's also the same, a perfectionist, but she's like, "Okay, I'm an artsy person. I love
Hell
this
yeah.
idea. Let's
Hell
go for
yeah.
it." So it was really just like a time when we were just like, okay, this sounds really cool. Let's try to do this. And then like we had faith in the unit that we'd be able to, figure out the practical part as we went like through the weeks. And we did, but that did not save us from trouble or like any struggling, of course. Because the vigorous part of this unit is actually making like getting it all approved. So, first assignment is pitching it. We had to pitch it in front of I guess what is it? The director of Film Freedom Network.
Ooh.
Um yeah, so her name is Brenda. She's a very sweet lady who was just, with our lecture judging us. Not,
Big ups,
not
Brenda.
judging
Big ups, Brenda.
us. But she was just like commenting and giving us feedback on our pitch.
Yeah.
And she had to do that for every single group. But she was also responsible for putting together like the film festival. So she brought her own guests that we got to meet and learn
Okay.
from, which is really cool. And this was a really good like foot in the door for all of us, or like a little sneak peek into what the film industry looks like. Because
Mm.
in Malaysia, entertainment is so like it's difficult and
Yes.
it's still a small community, but within entertainment, there's like music, there's film, there's all these different types of production, which
Yep.
is so interesting. Um, so yeah, it started with a unit, and then I guess 4 weeks came by, and we're just like, oh, we're actually like doing this.
It finally sank in.
Yeah, it finally like sank in.
Right.
My friend and I, who aren't part of the community, we were just like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, so that's when we started like asking our director. And this was when we all had to like decipher things for each other because um the hardcore community is Malay dominant.
Mm.
Um, and I'm not super fluent in Malay.
Mm.
So how we were gonna go about this, because it's a documentary, so interviews are gonna be involved.
Yes.
I had to make sure that things were communicated properly, and thankfully, our director was Malay speaking. So,
Woo!
yeah, Malay speaking and understood the community. So
Yes.
those things together really helped.
The perfect
Um,
individual for the job.
yes. And so I was just like, okay, I trusted him to like make sure that we weren't gonna get hurt as
Yeah.
well, and like made sure that these guys were cool with us filming too. We had to get like documents signed. We had to get our lectures approved, or like our lecturer had to approve our document multiple times. Um, and it was just like crazy because
Mm.
it's like 20 pages that we had to prepare before going on shoot. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was serious.
For
But I
purely
loved
for
how,
the approval.
yes, just for the
Wow.
approval.
Okay.
But that was good because we were able to take it seriously from that.
Yes.
Um, So yeah, it was like all or nothing at that point. And we just went for the gig, and then we just stepped foot into something that we just didn't expect to step foot in. Like
Mm.
so this was my introduction to not just hardcore, but moshing.
Yep.
Different kinds of moshing, the underground scene, just like Ampang. This was the first time I stepped foot in Ampang.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. And it was just like a different scene that I knew existed, um, but just never knew I would be part of at any point in my life
Mm.
because um I mean the whole film is about trying to challenge the stigma,
Yeah.
and there definitely is a stigma for hardcore. A lot of people call them rebels and all that, but then when we step foot in there, we're just like, bro, they're just vibing. Like, it looks aggressive from the outside, but they protect you from the circle where they mosh.
Right.
Um, so they are mindful people. So I
Yeah.
don't, so it's just like, oh wait, this is actually quite nice because
It's just an
there's,
interest, right? It's just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's their favorite music genre and this is the culture that they love.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just a way of them, I guess this was their way of, you know, taking care of their mental health. Like
Mm.
they wanted to do something that they liked, that they were passionate about, and
Yes.
there's a space for that. So yeah, that whole thing, I was just like, oh my God, like, wait, let's shoot this. And during the whole shoot, like I think in a couple of weeks' time we'll be releasing like BTS photos and just like
Okay.
things to commemorate the whole project. Um, but like there were ladders that we had to climb so that we could get the shot over the
Oh,
mosh.
right, right.
So, so just like a bunch of things that we did, which looked really dangerous,
Yeah.
potentially was dangerous, but we made it out because we were supported by people.
And they're
So
like,
it was, yeah, yeah. Like the person who gave the ladder and held onto it was the guy from like Rumah Api. So
okay.
he was just like, okay, wait, let me like make sure you girls get out of here safe. So,
Wait,
so
to
it was
clarify,
really,
what
really.
is Ruma Api?
Oh, Rumah Api is actually the place that we went to.
Ah,
It's
okay.
where the gig like took place.
Okay.
Um, so that's like only half of the film. The next half was just talking about the duality of the front man that we were interviewing. So his name is Dini. He is the frontman of a hardcore band called Spitting Blood.
Mm.
Um, and they tend to headline a lot of the Rumah Api gigs, which is where a lot of like underground punk people go. Um, and like it was just really cool because it's such a it's packed like
Yeah.
every single weekend. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Um, and like I think what pulled me into this project was when the director was like, he's not just a hardcore guy, he's a baker during the day. And then we were just like, wait, that's so
Wait, wait.
random.
Are you, your director or the frontman?
Like the front man. So
But he's always cooking.
yes,
He's
sir.
always cooking. Let's
Yes, sir.
go.
He's a cooking twoies.
Yes,
Like,
sir. Yes, sir.
oh my
That's
goodness. I was
amazing.
like, wait. So his full time is to be a baker. Like he
Right.
has his own restaurant, which is based at his own home.
Okay.
Uh, and like he serves people just like Western food and also like cakes and pastry.
Cookies,
And yeah, and
like
sometimes he brings
brownies.
cream puffs to the gigs. So you
That's
just see a lot of
amazing.
hardcore people eating cream puffs.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
sugar powdered donuts.
Yeah, and it's
Let's
just the
go.
wholesome thing. Yeah.
Right.
So that duality was really cool to play with for
Yes.
this documentary. And it's something that I feel like I'm sure a lot of people might be able to relate to it, or it might like ring close to home to a lot of people. But there's just not a lot of, um, I guess, mainstream material or that people can resonate with.
Yeah.
Um, you don't get much exposure to that all the time. So we just took this opportunity to be like, okay, let's do it for
Yeah.
us. Let's do it for our assignment. And then months later, our lecturer emails us. She's just like, hey, do you want to submit this for the festival? It's coming up. And then we're just like, oh, okay.
Bet.
We
Yeah.
weren't expecting to get picked or anything.
Right.
Um, and then like few months later it comes by. Um, and our friend gets the email and she's just like, guys, we got
Sorry.
nominated.
Mm.
And I was just like, huh? That's so funny.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, we got like nominated? That's
Yeah,
so funny. I was like,
that's
nominated
amazing.
for what? No, wait, no. It wasn't nominations. It was like we got screened.
Mm.
Um, yeah, we got invited for a screening, so it was just gonna be screened. And then we were just like, oh, okay, cool. Then we get to watch it on like a big screen.
Big screen, like a proper theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really cute. Then, like, we were asked to have an interview for it because I think my faculty spread the news to marketing, and then they asked us to have an interview. And then, like, the day before that, we were just like, wait, we were looking through the questions that they gave, and it was like, one of them was, so we heard that you were nominated, like, for a title. And it was like, how do you feel about that? And they were just like, wait.
You did? You heard
Yes,
about
we got
this? You
nominated.
said?
So it's just like surprises coming like one after another.
Left, right,
Um,
center.
yeah, and then we're just like, and it's like pleasant surprises that we just didn't expect. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, we got that. And I mean, our director only found out about it during the interview itself. Like,
Oh, wow.
so we got his like live
Oh,
reaction,
they
just like,
gotta, yeah, they gotta use that.
yeah,
You guys need
yeah,
to put that out, like for BTS, I'm guessing.
yeah,
That could
for
definitely
real.
be something.
For real, for real. So yeah, it's like we got nominated. We went to the screening. We saw the screening. We saw all the students like films and we were just like, "Oh my God. Everyone's films look so good because there were students from Singapore showing their
Mm.
films." Um and it was just like, wow, everyone has worked so hard on their assignments.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And I guess um like this is a way of me just saying like your assignments don't have to stay assignments. You can make the
Mm.
most of your assignments. And like it's just really pretty. It's like a really, really wholesome experience like that everyone was able to share. So yeah, that was our experience just watching it. Then like I think it was like a few days later, I get a text and like my friend, the editor, is already back in Indo. The other one's like working constantly part-time. And I get a text from Freedom Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just like, hey, are you coming tomorrow? Because like I mean the award ceremony is there tomorrow and we want like all the filmmakers to come. And I was like, this was like later in the night. So I was like, oh, I almost didn't go. Like I I
Ooh. Oh, God.
yeah, I almost didn't go until she like asked me and I was like, "Oh shoot, my other members can't make it."
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I have to go.
Looks like
So
you're the one.
yeah, I had to go. And then my lecturer asked me as well. And she was just like, "You're going, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going. Are you?" And then she was just like, "Yeah, I think I have to go because they're like asking us to like come go. Come to like the thing." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, cool. I guess it's just a formality thing."
Yeah.
Then like I don't know. The festival happens. I'm like, my group's not here. Uh, and then I'm just like, okay, let's just appreciate other student films. Um, and then I'm trying to predict like, oh my God, I bet it's gonna be like this and this because like theirs was so good.
Mm.
Um, my lecture was also like that. And then I was just like, yes, I think it's just gonna be these two. Um, and then like the first one that I predicted came out.
Okay.
Um, and then the second one like came out, and then I was like, are they not going to mention the second one? I think it's gonna be this one. And like while I'm like asking that question, my name is being called like
Miss
three times.
Arifa. You're like, wait, aren't they, and then you're
Yeah.
just like, Arifa, Arifa,
Yeah. So
and you're still like,
just
why
was
didn't they
like,
get it?
why is no one coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be another Arifah. What a
Yeah,
coincidence.
man, for real. And then I
Wait,
was just like,
all three of them Arifah?
oh, but this time, because at first they only were able to present the director's one, like the main director's one, it
Okay,
was
that's
Akid.
fair.
So I was just like, oh, okay. But then I was just like, but there's no one else named Akid. And then they said the name, like our film name,
Oh,
like
okay.
twice. And
Okay.
then I was like,
Like,
oh.
wait, that's our project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, right. I have to get it.
Mm.
I didn't rehearse this. I didn't prepare a speech.
Speech, 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 speech.
But they wanted me to say something. So I was just like, okay, here I am in little girl coming up stage. Didn't expect anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like clapping. This is the first time I'm attending anything like this. Their stairs are really steep
Oh
and like
God.
my legs are shaking.
Yeah. You start like climbing them like Mount Everest.
Yeah. I'm like, this stage is really tall. I'm
Mm-hmm.
focusing on not tripping.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay, maybe this is what like getting achievements is supposed to feel like. It's been a
Mm.
while since I've gone to an assembly in high school, like
True.
um so I went up on stage. They asked me for a like I kind of like stood there for like not too long, 2 seconds maybe, but it felt like a really long time.
I can
And,
imagine.
yeah, and they're just like, okay, do you want to like say something? And I was just like, oh, since my lecturer is here, I'm going to like thank her for even like creating this unit because
Aw.
without this unit, because she was the one that created it. So just like without this unit, we wouldn't have had any experience in this. Like we
Hmm.
wouldn't be able to know how to pick up a camera,
Yeah.
um, how to function like in this kind of setting. It really put us through things to make us reconsider whether we wanted production or not. Um, so like I was really grateful in that moment. And like, I don't know, my heart was just telling me like, bro, just speak from the heart at this point. Like
Yeah.
yeah, and just show your gratitude and make sure that you um say things that this community would not be able to say. So it was also like a way of me like expressing like the community's gratitude because they were really happy that this even got screened
Yeah.
and more people started coming to us from that like network.
Mm.
Um, and they were just like, hey, like, thanks for making this because like I was also part of the community. So it was really cool to like bring people together.
Yeah.
Just one film that
Yeah.
was supposed to be an assignment. So yeah, so like next step for this one is just like commemorating it on like a collaborative IG post and then like um, it's gonna be screened later on in Singapore, um, in November. So
Okay.
yeah, it's just a happy little accident.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the beauty of, do you think it makes it more sweet that you didn't have these expectations? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's been the case for me when like something amazing happens and I was not expecting anything. I'm like, "Oh my
Mhm.
God, like wow. Me?" You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah. That's very sweet.
exactly, exactly. And so it's just like, oh, okay. And it just so happened to like take place during a time when I was like at my lowest. So it really like cheered me up because it was just like it was somewhat validating,
Yeah.
but not in a bad, obsessive way. Um, it was just like, oh, look what you made
Mm-hmm.
from just trying your best.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
And and I don't think I feel like it's such strong evidence that we don't have to do things perfectly because how do you measure like how to make a perfect documentary? How
Yeah.
do you measure that?
Can't.
Like you could, let's say you might think, okay, I'll ask 100 people for interviews, and then
Yeah.
you get all 100, but would
Mhm.
it be as captivating as the baker by day, rocker by night, like whatever, right? Like that kind of like that situation or that story or whatever it is. So like it's just such a beautiful reminder that we don't even need to be perfect, and
Yeah,
beautiful things will happen regardless.
definitely. And just patience is key.
Ooh, okay, that one's tough.
Yeah.
That one's very tough, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, do you have like future plans as someone who works in video production?
Mm, I feel like anything production has always been in mind from young. Um, and like I think I said this recently to a friend, or we said it to each other where it's like, without a plan, I guess I'll go corporate.
Okay.
Like, yeah, because in Malaysia, I think everyone knows it's really difficult, but
Yes.
you shouldn't shy away from it just because it's difficult. If it's what's keeping you going, then by all means, like try your best to get that for yourself. And like if things change and you can't do it, then at least you tried your like best, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like production is something that I'm really interested like, because I think all kinds of production does fascinate me in some way. Whether it's live or studio.
Mm.
Um, and just being part of it part-time and slowly picking up on it um is all I really want. Like I just want to be a part of it. And like we said in the beginning, like I don't want it. I don't want to put so much pressure on myself that I primarily want to monetize it.
Yeah.
Um yeah, 'cause like I can still have jobs where I can treat it as a job.
Exactly.
And by the time I clock out, I'm fine. Like I
Yeah.
don't need to read that.
Yeah.
But with things like production and creative work, it's so special that I do not want to stop it. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it's so ever evolving that I could never leave it completely. Take a break, yeah, maybe, but I don't think I could leave it.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And based on my understanding of what you said, I guess you don't necessarily want to like quantify it as well in terms of like, oh, it's been 2 months since I've been doing production. I have to get to this level, right?
Yeah.
It's more so when I learn something new, like that's great. When I don't, I'll just do what I love anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel the same with music because if I'm being very objective, I feel like I've been stagnant for a while
Hmm.
in terms of the music that I'm putting out. And not to say it's bad or anything, it's just I feel like the motion has been quite slow or stationary almost even sometimes, um, all of the time. No, but it's just for me like being okay with doing it even when I feel like I suck, simply
Yeah.
because I love it. And I
Mm.
guess this applies with the podcast as well. Like, I'm still trying to pick up the what was it called, the trick of the trade, right? Like the
Mm.
little nuances and the little tips and here and there. And I'm not trying to rush it. I'm just focusing on improving one conversation at a time. So it's a very beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ar-
Definitely.
Arifa, it has been so amazing speaking to you. Again, thank you so much for your time and the stories and um, not just advice but like insight that you've provided us is truly valuable and helpful, and the adjectives in my mind are not there, but but you get what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, not at all. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And before we close off, do you have a message, anything you'd like to add before we close off this episode?
Um, I think like the main message that I would want to say, like to close off this podcast from what we've just talked about, is just like whatever it is, it's like take care of yourself.
Yeah,
Make sure
first and
that different
foremost.
ways that you take care of yourself are
Yes.
reciprocal to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever it is, whatever your passions are, make sure you are always real with yourself. Um, so that you can actually achieve what you want. Um, And yeah, it's like I haven't figured it out, but I will.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
to add on to your point, like my parents have always told me, you know, like what is the point of working so hard and making so much money if all of it goes to the doctor at the end of the day?
Yeah.
You know, if we can't take care of our health, we could be billionaires or whatever it is, but if we end up just spending it on healthcare, like how are we enjoying the fruits of our labor?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
Aoife, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Um, and for you guys watching, I hope you guys enjoyed. You guys know what to do. Share this video if you found it helpful, if you found it profound in any way, shape, or form. And if you're comfortable, you can just let me know what social media links you would like to drop, and I would gladly share it with the audience as well.
Okay, sure. It is
Okay.
just Zahra at
Yeah.
Instagram.
At Instagram. Woo.
Yes, sir.
All right, that is it. Yeah, have a good one, guys.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye bye.